Welcome to Mental Flight, where bold ideas take off and untold truths soar beyond the limits of ordinary thinking. Then fasten your mind, you're cleared for takeoff. For decades, Senegal's economy carried a quiet weight that most people outside Africa never truly understood. The West African CFA franc, a currency tied tightly to France, wasn't just paper and numbers. It was a reminder. A reminder that even after independence, true freedom still felt unfinished. Imagine building your nation's future, but every time you move forward, the chains of a colonial past rattle behind you. That's the reality Senegal lived with. Now, something powerful is happening. Senegal has stepped forward, taken a deep breath, and said no more. This isn't just about money. It's about dignity, pride, and the right to decide your own path without someone else holding the pen. Think of a young adult finally walking out of the shadow of an over-controlling parent, scared, maybe, but determined, heart pounding with the fire of self-belief. That's Senegal today. For many people, the CFA franc was a symbol of dependence. It meant that Paris still had a seat at the table when Africans talked about their own future. Every coin, every note, carried the echo of colonialism. And while the world moved on, Senegal and other nations were left asking, when will we truly be free? When will our choices belong to us and not to the ghosts of empire? The decision to leave the colonial currency behind is not just a policy shift, it's a roar of identity. It's Senegal telling its children that their future will not be dictated from Europe. It's Senegal telling its farmers, workers, and dreamers that their sweat and effort will build value on their own terms. This is pride translated into action. Of course, the road ahead won't be easy. Breaking away from something so deeply rooted always comes with uncertainty. But there's also hope in the air, an energy you can almost feel if you listen closely. People know this is a turning point, a chance to rewrite the story. This moment belongs to every Senegalese who ever felt silenced, overlooked, or tied down by a past they didn't choose. It belongs to a nation that has waited long enough to breathe freely. It belongs to Africa's heartbeat that keeps getting louder, refusing to be ignored for generations. Senegal lived with a currency that didn't fully belong to its people, the CFA franc, created during colonial rule and controlled in large part by France, shaped the nation's economy in ways many ordinary citizens could feel, but rarely had the power to change. It wasn't just a financial tool, it was a symbol. A quiet reminder that even decades after independence, the grip of colonial influence was still there, pressing down in everyday life. Families grew up saving in a currency tied to decisions made thousands of miles away. Young entrepreneurs dreamed of starting businesses, but always with the uneasy knowledge that their financial system was rooted in another country's oversight. It was like living in your own home, but never fully holding the keys. Now, chapter is closing, and the air in Senegal feels different. When the announcement came that the country was stepping away from the French colonial CFA franc, it wasn't just an economic decision, it was an emotional one. For many, it felt like lifting a weight off the shoulders. A weight that had been carried for so long, it almost felt normal. Picture a runner carrying sandbags through every race? Never quite. Able to move freely? Imagine the relief when those sandbags finally fall away and the legs can stretch. The body can breathe, the spirit can finally run without limits. That's what Senegal's decision means to so many of its people. There is pride now, a kind of collective heartbeat echoing across markets, neighborhoods, and villages. People know this moment matters. Farmers who sell their harvest, workers who labor day and night. Young students dreaming about tomorrow, each of them feels that their sweat and sacrifice will no longer be tied to a currency that carried the fingerprints of a colonial past. There's a sense that value is finally being reclaimed, that the worth of their labor will begin to reflect their own story instead of someone else's shadow, of course. There is uncertainty too. It's breaking away from a system so deeply woven into. The fabric of daily life doesn't come without questions. Will the new path be stable? How will it affect ordinary families? These worries are natural, but even within them, there's a strong current of determination. It's the kind of courage you see in someone who has finally decided to live on their own terms, knowing the road will be harder, but also knowing it will be theirs. This decision is more than politics or economics, it's deeply human. It's about identity, about a people wanting to write their own story and control their own destiny. For Senegal, ending dependence on the French colonial CFA, Franc is like reclaiming a voice that was silenced for too long. It's a declaration that the past may have shaped them, but it will not define their future. And as this shift takes root, the world is watching a nation rise with a mix of pride, vulnerability, and unshakable resolve. A powerful step toward economic freedom and dignity is not just a phrase. It's an entire feeling that you can almost sense in the streets, in the voices of people, in the quiet conversations at home. For so long, economic decisions in Senegal were shaped by structures that didn't always reflect the will of its people. The CFA franc stood as both a tool and a shackle, tying the nation to a history it was desperate to outgrow. The move to finally walk away from that system feels like watching someone reclaim a part of themselves that was hidden, like a person. Finally finding the courage to say, "This is who I am. This is what I deserve." Freedom in economics is deeply personal. It's the farmer who wakes up before sunrise, planting seeds in tough soil, knowing that his hard work should build value for his family and not trickle away to foreign banks. It's the young entrepreneur sketching business ideas on scraps of paper, hoping for a future where she can dream without invisible limits. It's parents who sit around the dinner table at night, wanting to believe that the little money they save will hold its worth for the children they're raising. Economic dignity is about more than numbers. It's about people finally feeling seen, respected, and trusted with their own future. When Senegal decided to break away from the colonial currency system, it wasn't just economics on display. It was emotion. It was a historic turning point for Africa's financial sovereignty is unfolding before our eyes. And it feels like more than just policy or economics. It feels like a shift in spirit. For decades, African nations carried the invisible weight of currencies. Tied to colonial roots, currencies that whispered reminders of control long after the flags of independence were raised. The CFA franc in particular was never just money. It was a chain, a symbol, a quiet reminder that the past still had its grip on the present. For the people living under it, it often meant their sweat, their labor. Their dreams were filtered through a system designed somewhere else. And that reality carried an ache, a frustration that never completely went away. Now, with Senegal stepping away from that colonial framework, the ground feels different beneath Africa's feet. This moment is about more than numbers and banks. It's about self-respect. It's about the pride of saying, we can handle our own destiny. For many, it's like finally finding your own voice after years of being spoken over. Imagine sitting at a table your whole life, but never being allowed to choose the meal you eat what is given, even if it doesn't fill you. Today, Africa is beginning to choose for itself. And that choice is powerful beyond measure. There's an emotion here that statistics can't capture. People feel it when they hand over their money at markets, when they talk to their children about the future, when they watch their leaders take bold steps that once seemed impossible. There's a pride that runs deeper than policy, it's dignity. Returning home, financial sovereignty is not just about economics, it's about identity. It's about telling generations who grew up under silent restrictions that tomorrow will not look the same. It's about looking into the eyes of young Africans and saying your future will be built with your hands, not shaped by someone else's pen. The shift also carries a sense of vulnerability, because stepping into sovereignty means stepping into uncertainty. There will be mistakes, there will be challenges, and there will be moments of doubt. But there's beauty in that too, because dignity is not found in perfection. It's found in trying. It's found in the courage to say, we would rather stumble on our own road than walk smoothly down someone else's. That is what true sovereignty feels like. Raw, real, and deeply human. Across Africa, people are watching closely. From Dakar to Bamako to Ouagadougou, there is a shared sense that something has changed, that history is bending in a new direction. The move may have begun with Senegal, but its echo will carry far beyond one nation. It tells the continent and the world that Africa is ready to write its own economic story, to claim its place not as a dependent, but as an equal, with the freedom to shape its destiny in its own language. With its own heartbeat, we're building a community of people who care about truth, dignity, and independence. Be part of it. Subscribe now, like this video, and leave a comment so your voice is heard